Now, this is a topic I've been wanting to talk about for the last week or so. We're talking about Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey has been making comments, been making waves on the, internet media about, how men need to do this, they need to do that. Basically protecting women, which, makes sense. She has a daughter. Good for him. He's completely coddling, just the female gender. I guess good for him. Um, Dave Ramsey is living in an age completely different than what he used to be. Women are not how they used to be quite frank. Um, I recall one call that he had about a guy that was afraid to take on this woman with, I don't know how much money she had in debt, about 100,000. And he was like, well, no, you should still marry this girl and you should be able to marry her, and you shouldn't look at the money that she has in debt. If you want her, you want her. Dave Ramsey is part of the problem. Dave Ramsey has been making waves with just horrible comments that no guy should ever have to listen. All of his advice is geared towards helping women. And part of that is because women, 20, 30, 40, even longer than that years ago, they were a different kind of woman. They were women that were actually worthy of being respected, that were not using men maliciously, either in relationships or through marriage, and especially through divorce afterwards. I mean, they're very vengeful. It's not just Dave Ramsey. There's a lot of men, either now, generations older than us, like Generation X, and especially boomers that think this way. Now, that sort of mentality is going away slowly but surely, just as the internet age is evolving. This sort of information is becoming more out in the open, and more men are realizing this and are saying, hey, maybe I give a second thought about marrying this lady that, quite frankly, maybe doesn't like me for me. Maybe likes me for my wallet or other external factors. Dave Ramsey is part of the problem. You know, I can't remember what other example. There's just so many. It's surfacing on X like wildfire, just on all the countless examples where it's a female caller asking for help. Of course, Dave Ramsey is like, no, dump that boyfriend. Like, fuck that guy. You should be able to do whatever the fuck you want with no consequences whatsoever. We live in a different time, and so it's to be quite frank, it's poison to the male mind to be able to hear this because a lot of men don't know what, quite frank, women are capable of if you don't know what they truly want. There, not to say there's not good women out there, but they're very few and far between. I think Dave Ramsey is still stuck in this time period where he expects men to do everything. And they have been doing everything. Except for the fact that feminism has progressed so much in the last 20, 30 years to the point where they feel like everything should be given to them, to be quite frank. And I think this is a deeper issue because a lot of, from the older generations, feel that men should essentially do everything and provide everything monetarily, which is ironic because women want to provide as well financially. They're now more than ever going out to work, making their own money, more educated, they're just getting more liberal arts degrees. That's really what it is. But it's a lot of boomers that are stuck in this time where they feel like it is okay for men to be taken advantage of. And it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. They are okay with men getting divorced, men getting half their shit confiscated, being taken advantage of, being cheated on. Um, like I said, it's poisonous to the mind. Dave Ramsey's not the only one, guys. There's a lot of older men out there like Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey is only being put in the spotlight here because of the fact that he has his own show, and people take his advice, which, by the way, is kind of shitty advice, right? Um, I mean, basically what he says is just save all your money, don't be in debt, which, like, on the surface sounds like good advice, of course, right? Save your money, but he just takes it to the nth degree. I don't know. I don't really follow his sort of financial advice there. Doesn't seem like the recipe to make. But, he has his beliefs. He has his, I think, like I said, a big thing is that he has a daughter, which I'm sure he's coddled. She shows up on the show several times on the show. And even there's one episode where she basically humiliated a male caller for not having enough money. That needs to be put on the spotlight. That just goes to show that obviously the way Dave has been parenting has been looking down on men, especially men of this generation. Dave Ramsey, I wouldn't be surprised if has been shitting on men younger than him for generations. That's just what he portrays on screen and on his show. It's honestly despicable. You're telling me I should respect generations older than me when they're clearly looking down on us and saying you guys aren't doing your job and you guys are essentially not, holding up your end of the bargain. It's just a bunch of bullcrap. And so that's a big reason why I feel like our generations aren't respecting their generations, because they look down on us. Straight up. I'm not trying to make this a generations issue. Talked about this extensively in my podcast. I can. Who knows? Maybe I'll talk about it in a couple weeks. Who knows? It's something that always needs to be brought up because it's always the older men that are putting us men down. Always. I would advise every single one of you to go look on X, look on YouTube. Just watch his episodes. Watch his, when he gets calls in from his channel. Just completely no regard for us men. So that's something I always think of, when I get older, how am I going to treat the younger generations? I would like to think I would have more of an understanding. I feel like you should have an understanding. Who knows? Maybe the generations younger than us will have it tougher. You never know. I can't predict the future, but yeah, just overall, just a very bad look for Dave Ramsey. No sympathy for him. I mean, just watch his shit. You'll understand.